Upasna, and welcome to the About Her show. Now, this is a show where we get trailblazing women to share the story of their lives with us, to tell us about their successes, challenges, failures, ups and downs, the whole thing, so that not only do they get a platform to talk about what they do, but they also inspire other women who are listening in. Women who have dreams, ambitions, aspirations, but for one reason or the other are not able to fulfill them. You, by being here and by sharing your story, are playing an integral role in motivating and inspiring those women. And eventually, we want to build a community of women, women who are there to support, empower, mentor, and be there for each other. So, a very, very warm welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Sangeeta, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here and share my story. And if that can inspire others, that will be really, really nice. Thank you.
You're most welcome. An absolute pleasure to have you on the show. So we'll just start with a little icebreaker. So can you tell us a little bit about your early days, your childhood, your journey, and how do you think your experiences from those days helped shape your personality?
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you so much, Sangeeta, for asking me this question, because I'm a strong believer that the experiences we have as a child form the basis of everything we do as adults, And for me, my childhood has played a most important role in shaping me who I am today, and I'm very grateful for those experiences. So, going back, born and brought up in Delhi,
Okay.
and to a very simple set of parents, who have who really ingrained the values of learning, knowledge, and education for me and my elder sister, very early on in life. So my mother is an educationist herself. She served in the Delhi government. She worked with the Delhi government, retired as an education officer all her life. My father, very, very well read and highly experienced and a professional, served in the corporate world. So, seeing both of them manage their personal and professional lives, their work ethics, seeing them work with sincerity, honesty, hardworking, and at the same time, managing family, being always present. I don't remember a single moment when I needed my parents and they weren't there, So those are the kind of experiences I've kind of lived with, and that's so deeply ingrained in me, deeply rooted values, which have really helped me navigate through life, my professional and personal life and the ups and downs. I think having that strong root of values has really, really helped shape me and my sister what we are today.
Yeah, I completely agree, because this an upbringing which gives you a strong foundation that can help you navigate any kind of challenge in life, because you can always go back, always, relate with what your parents went through, or, like those, basic things that about, like you said, hard work, truth, honesty, all these things are so integral. And they play such a great role in, helping us pave the way forward. So yes, childhood and this foundation, I strongly believe and agree with you that it plays a very, very, critical role in our lives. So tell me, so your natural progression after completing your education was to get into the corporate world, which is what you did.
Yes.
And then you decided to be on your own and start your own venture. So tell us a little bit about this venture of yours. And of course, if you faced, I'm sure you did, face any challenges along the way. And if you think that some of those challenges were because of your gender.
Yes, absolutely. So my venture that, I'm working on is called Live Your Bachpan, and as I said right in the beginning, right, the experiences we have as a child form the basis of everything we do as adults. And I think that is the foundation of Live Your Bachpan, because a mother myself, having and been in the corporate world when I was raising my child. Now he's 11 right now. And, like going through those daily challenges of managing work and balancing my child's life, and of course your personal life, and finding that work-life balance in between. And the bachpan that our children are facing today is very different from what we had.
Yes,
you
yes.
know, and with those kind of challenges, you know, what I was seeing my child go through, and I wasn't able to give enough, like a lot of things were being put off for the weekends,
Hmm,
like important life skills, because whenever we would get time, I think the usual academics and, other things will take precedence.
hmm.
And being able to really discuss important life skills and values that really takes time,
Yeah,
wasn't really
yeah.
being the top priority. And
Hmm.
as a result, I could see my child getting aggressive, getting bullied, being a bully himself, and a lot of other things that was impacting his emotional, well-being.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's where I also looked around, and the reality is that children learn from each other. Children learn from what they see,
Absolutely.
and what we needed a community of children, who are respectful and resilient.
Hmm.
And we are the average of the 5 people we surround ourselves with.
Yeah.
So I wanted to create a community of children, that my child could surround himself with, who talk positive values, who are able to support each other, who work with care, respect, empathy,
Hmm.
and walk the talk. That is the values, the core values of Live Your Bachpan.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's how this was born.
Okay. And so what are the kind of challenges you faced? And like I said, if you think any of those were because of your gender?
Yes. So, see, right through the corporate life, I mean, I've been blessed that again, being in the career or being in the working world was
Mhm.
never a negotiation point for me, because my family was always supportive. My parents were supportive. My husband has been very supportive. That okay, you like to work. I mean, that's not a discussion point or a negotiation point. So
Mhm.
from that perspective, I was always very blessed, and I'd been in the working world. But as women, I think we automatically face that unconscious bias. you
Yes.
know
Yes.
how much, however, we talk about it, it won't change unless the roots change. So that hasn't changed, and that perception, because of that unconscious bias of trying to prove yourself in the working world, was
Hmm.
always there. Will
Yeah.
she be able to do it? Should we give her that assignment? Will she be okay to travel? you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
okay, now she's a mother, we don't even think she's going to come back to work.
Hmm. Hmm.
Or okay, now she has to go early every time. Oh, okay, now she has a sick child,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so that unconscious bias, navigating through that, maybe not in as many words.
Yeah.
Sometimes I've been called to meetings just saying that, hey, would be good to have you so that we have some diversity in the room. So
Hmm.
just using that word diversity,
Yeah.
and that kind of is pretty downgrading in itself.
Yes.
And so navigating that on the professional front is always there, and I think all of us women face that in some subtle forms or the other.
Yeah.
But I think even on the personal front, right, like however more supporting your family is, I
Hmm.
think inevitably there are roles and responsibilities that are something that a woman has to take care of, you
Correct.
know
Correct.
and always trying to be on top of things. So for a man, it's like, okay, it's assumed the entire support system knows that he needs to go to work,
Yes.
right? And everything will work around it to ensure that that objective is met. For
Hmm.
a woman, she really needs to create that support system. She really needs to prove that, hey, I need to be at work, but I'm going to make sure that nothing gets impacted, you
Yes.
know?
Yes.
And then you kind of multitask and you stay ahead of time, you start early and all of that kind of stuff. So I
Yeah.
think juggling that
Yes.
has definitely been sometimes challenging, sometimes it is stressful, but then you find your way out, and
Yeah. You do.
yeah, it's been good learning.
I think that is what makes women so resilient because, like you said, it's a given. When a man has to go to work, everything will work itself around that objective and that will be met.
Yes.
But when it is a woman, she has to make sure that everything works around to, for, to enable her to meet that objective. And that putting everything together
Correct.
can be quite a task. It's not easy because, ultimately you are like kind of, okay, you are working, but then you're, working everywhere. You're working at home and you're working outside. You just cannot give your 100%. So yes, making that kind of adjustment or balancing that
Yes.
can get, and it does get very, very stressful.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Basta, if you were to look back on your life, do you think there was anyone who you think was your mentor or your role model or someone who you wanted to be like?
Yeah, I mean, you know, that's definitely a great question.
Right.
So, you know, like for me, I mean, I think my parents have had a huge influence in my life in the sense that they were never very explicit in like saying things that, okay, you have to do this, you have to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But in subtle ways, you know, the way they created an environment of having a learner mindset, of, you know,
Yeah.
always being an action taker,
Hmm.
of education and knowledge, the importance of. So they never pressurized us for marks, or they would never compare, or, you know, we would always celebrate whatever marks we would get and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But the culture of learning, so, you know, maybe readings, I would see my father always reading or talking about important quotes from, you know, mentors and Peter Drucker and things like that.
Hmm.
And those subtle messages, you know, it could be dinner table conversations, they kind of really inculcated that learner mindset. And, you know, today even I'm like a lifelong learner. Like I quit my corporate world, I'm completely in a new world
Hmm.
wherein I'm trying to reinvent the wheel. I'm learning from people half my age, you
Hmm.
know, and trying to build stuff and automate systems and things like that. I've never done, but I'm
Yeah.
enjoying that process because of that learner mindset that I have, you
Yes.
know. So I think my parents have been a big inspiration for me in that sense. And then, you know, because of that, I've learned from mentors
Hmm.
in the online space. Robin Sharma
Yeah.
was a book I have been very, very heavily influenced by, and some of his teachings, you know, were my early introduction to motivational, you know, topics.
Okay. Yeah, actually, you've made a very interesting point. And in fact, earlier also in the conversation, I was reminded. So recently, I don't know whether you read that or not. Chetan Bhagat spoke about this generation of college going students, the privileged ones who are, when the moment they open their mouths, you know, that's what they're all about. I mean, looking at their clothes and the gadgets they
Yeah.
carry, maybe the vehicles they travel in, you would think that, you know, they are actually the cat's whiskers. But when you ask them to say something, to talk about something, they're all at sea, because, you know, we are becoming a society of materialistic things where,
Yes.
you know, instant gratification and all these things have
Yes.
become the norm. And I think parents have a very, very crucial role to play in this. In fact, I've just written an article on this, that how you cannot blame this generation. You've got to blame the parents, the educators, the policy makers who are making it, you know, that who are actually how should I say, validating this kind of an existence. So, yeah, you know, your
Absolutely.
parenting is a very, very tough job. And I'm so happy to know that you come from a background where your parents have played such a crucial and such, I mean, such a role in your life where you have this kind
Yes.
of a mindset. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm grateful.
Yeah. So you gravitated from being a corporate woman to someone who's doing her own thing. Yeah. Your own venture.
Yes.
So, if you were to come across someone who wanted to do exactly that, what would be the three tips that you would want them to follow to become successful as their own, I mean, in their own venture?
Yes, yes, absolutely. You know, I'm glad to share that. But you know, Sangeeta, surprisingly, and you know, I never thought that I was somebody who was cut out to be an entrepreneur or to have my own venture, because
Hmm.
all my life, you know, some of the limited beliefs that I had inculcated around myself is that, okay, you know, being in a job, being in a secure job is all, you know, I'm good to do, and that's what I'm going to do for the rest of my life.
Hmm.
But you know, and that's where life plays tricky, right?
Yeah.
Is and that's why being a learner is so important. And you know, uh, for me, I read once that, you know, it's so having a purpose, right,
Mm-hmm.
is so important. And for somebody setting on their own venture, or somebody being in a job or whatever you do,
Yeah. Yeah.
right, knowing your purpose is the most important thing that you can ever do, right? There's even a saying that says that there are only two important days in your life: the day you're born and the day you know why, right?
Yeah.
And quite honestly, you know, we all live in a bubble where we think we know our purpose, but that's not the case.
Hmm. Hmm.
To really know your why, you have to constantly ask yourself questions as to why am I doing what am I doing? Why am I doing what am I doing? You know,
Hmm. Hmm.
what, how is it serving me? How is it serving others? And a very important, and while I was on that exploration journey, a very important message I read in a book, which says that, so all through my life, I thought, okay, purpose is to be happy, to give happiness to my family, to do a good job, and that's it. But then that book said that, a purpose is something where you can create an impact. What is the impact that you're creating? Right? So throughout, for me, when I was trying to find my purpose, the one thing that was missing is the impact.
Okay.
And as I did my work, and when I read that, I completely revisited the way I worked. So even in my corporate job as a leader, my whole and soul purpose used to be to create an impact, to inspire others, be it my team, to help them become better versions of themselves, create an impact around for people around me. And that's been like my center, that's been my purpose. So as I was going through that, I think my anchor that really pushed me into setting up my own venture would be my purpose, which is to really create an impact. Now, the question is, for anybody setting out on a venture, right, you really need to know your why. What is the purpose for you to create that venture? And that purpose should not end at something which is material. That purpose needs to be higher than your own self.
Okay.
So when you have a purpose which is higher than yourself, and you have an intention to serve, that is what will bring you back to your work every day. That is what will make you rise from failures. That is what will help you find answers, to the questions you're not able to find. Because success is not going to be overnight.
Of course
but
not.
Your purpose will get you back to work, will get you back on track every time you derail. So the first thing for any person trying to set up their own venture is be very clear about your purpose. Why you want to do what you want to do, so that even 2 years down the line, is it still something that you want to do? 5 years down the line, right? The second P is going to be passion. You need to have a passion for something, right? What is it that you're passionate about? And the third thing is that it needs to solve a problem, right? You can be passionate because if it's just a passion, it might just be a hobby that you can go down and do it. But if it's really going to help others, if it's going to serve others, it is aligned with your purpose and you're passionate about it. You want to learn about it, you want to read about it, you want to teach others about it, you want to talk about it. These 3 Ps, kind of form the core for anybody trying to do anything, a new venture. And I think this really very well correlates with finding your ikigai, right?
Yes, it
which
does.
is whatever you want to do, what you love, right? What you know, what you, what's going to pay you, what you get paid for, right? There's no point doing something that you're not going to get paid for, because how are you going to sustain them?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
And lastly, it should be solving a problem. So the day I found these 3 things, because I've always been passionate about children, as a kid. And while I was thinking through my purpose, like what is it that I really want to do to create an impact? It kind of correlated back to my childhood again, because I used to really be very nice with kids as a kid. Even now, in get-togethers, I'm naturally inclined to help children stay out of screens and, kind of engage with them, make sure they have a good time and have a memorable Bachpan. So that was a passion. My purpose is to create an impact and to help and serve others. And, I think it's a problem that I'm trying to solve, which is, for working parents, it's very difficult to keep children off screen and really give them those experiences that probably we had. Right.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. That's, yes, the 3 set of P's. Great. Great. All right. So we've spoken about this earlier, like we mentioned it, that working women especially have these 2 very critical sides to their lives, personal and the professional, and they're always struggling to integrate the 2 or find a balance. I mean, society does have greater expectations out of women than men. There are certain things which only women are supposed to be doing. So we are constantly battling. So what do you have to say about it, and how do you do it in your personal life?
Absolutely. So I'll kind of go back to my very important P, which is purpose, right? When you know your purpose, now that could be for your personal life and your professional life, I think it really solves like a lot of problems, right? It solves like one big P problem, right? Which is, so, and then it's not easy, you constantly ask like, okay, for my personal life, why am I doing what I'm doing? Like, because that's going to make you enjoy it, right? Otherwise, it's always going to feel like a struggle, that because of my work, I'm not able to give time to family. So it's going to feel like struggle. But When you know your purpose, you're like, hey, I enjoy my work. It adds meaning to me. So it's important to me, and that's my why.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to make sure that for my personal balancing also, I'm going to figure out a way, because then it's enjoyable, and then you kind of find solutions, and you're not like always stressed out about it. So your whys need to be very clear. And your why kind of helps you to say no to things, for example, right? So you need to have a routine. For example, you need to have like a discipline around the time you're sleeping, the discipline around the time you're waking up, trying to stay a little bit ahead of the day to kind of make sure that, you're not always chasing the day, but finding that time. But for that, you need to say no to a lot of things. Maybe you need to say no to late nights. You might need to say no to people, and some people might not like you for that. And you need to be comfortable with that everybody will not like you know so for me, the number one thing is purpose. But the second thing, which I kind of learned along the way, and I feel I'm more comfortable now than probably I was when I was younger, is it's okay to be not okay. There will be days when your personal and professional balance will be completely off. And that's okay. We can't get it all right all the time. So don't chase perfection. Like, I kind of stopped even chasing perfection. Like, there will be days when you'll probably be a great mom, or you'll be a great boss, or you'll be a great team member. But some days you won't feel like it, so it's okay. Don't pressurize yourself for that. So being okay with not being not okay, sharing your feelings, like if you're really juggling, share with your husband, share with your partner, share with your parents, with your children, that, hey, listen, this is important for me, but I'm struggling right now. Can you help me? Can we find a way to have those conversations? A lot of times I see women, because we've kind of embodied this whole thing about being perfect, we find it hard to ask for help. We just try to do it all by ourselves, and then when it's not perfect, we stress out, and then everything comes falling down, falling apart, and then we're like, it's just not happening. So have a purpose, know your why, be okay with not being okay, stop chasing perfection, just take action, like, to the extent you can. And communicate, and talk to the people around. And sometimes we really underestimate asking.
I agree. I completely agree with this.
We don't like to ask, and when we go ahead and do that, we're like, oh, was it just that easy? Like, why didn't I do that early? You know
I can so relate to this, because sometimes, you just need to, just communicate. You just need to verbalize that this is what is not happening, or can I need help here. And people are more than happy. So yes, this is very important, because I'm guilty of it myself, trying to do everything yourself. Why? My biggest why now is that, why was I trying to do everything on my own? It's not possible. So the sooner you accept it, the better it is, for everyone around.
Absolutely.
So Upasna, of course, ups and downs, challenges, part of everyone's life, and we face setbacks also, on a regular basis. So how do you stay motivated and resilient in the, face of setbacks in life?
And I think I would kind of go back to what I spoke about perfection, right? We've always been taught and raised in a way that, okay, practice makes a man perfect, trying to have perfection in everything. And that's where we kind of start looking at failures as something which is negative, something which is bad, something which is, it should not happen. So for me, along the way, as I kind of navigated through life, right? The one thing that really stood out for me was that I stopped chasing perfection. So when that happened, I started focusing on taking action. And that means consistent daily action. So what happens then is, you break down your steps into really small activities, right? And you're not chasing a perfect ideal world. You're like doing, okay, today I'm going to do this. So when that happens, the failure becomes like, okay, I took an action, it didn't work out, maybe I'll try something else. So kind of looking at it from that perspective, that this is just an experiment, this is something we're doing, maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, right? And next time, maybe I'll try something else, maybe I'll try something better, and and always looking at each time that happens as an experience, which is adding on to my value and expertise and helping me becoming a better person.
Yeah.
So when I changed my perspective to that, I think all my experiences, which could potentially be negative or which could potentially make me feel bad about it, I started to feel good about them. That, oh, this really helped me because I wouldn't have been here had that not happened. So kind of changing perspective really helps to stay positive, to battle failures, and to continue to experiment and take action. I mean, being an action taker is so strongly ingrained, in me. I feel that lack of that probably can make me feel a little jittery, but otherwise just keep going and keep doing something.
It's actually very important. You have to remember that you have to stay the course no matter what. Stay positive, stay the course, keep doing it. Even if today is not a good day, believe that tomorrow will be a good day. It'll get better. And this bad day is also teaching you something. These are
Yes,
actually
absolutely.
little learnings that we have to kind of incorporate in within us to be able to move ahead and do what we really want to do in life.
Absolutely. And I think for me and for all of us, in fact, I think these are the lessons we kind of learn very later on in life. And we're like, oh, and that's the reason, I want to kind of teach children these things early on so that they are going to have, failures. They are going to have ups and downs, and that's okay. It's okay. But if we can give children a framework so that they know how to deal with these things, if they know that, okay, it's okay to be not okay, if they know how to manage their emotions, I think they can be in a lot better place than probably, we could have been if somebody would have taught us.
I agree. So relating to this, if you were to give a few pieces of advice to young girls of today who are on the thresholds of their personal and professional lives, I mean, young girls in the age group of 18, 19, or maybe even 20-year-olds, what would you like to tell them?
Just believe in yourself, just believe in yourself, because only two ingredients that you need to be successful in life. One is self-belief. The second is action. These two things you do, you are definitely going to get what you want. You will definitely get things that may be better than what you want, but continue to believe in yourself no matter what, because there will be moments when people will not believe in you. There will be moments that you might doubt your own self. But when you believe in yourself, it's like a superpower, it's a superpower that we all have, but we seldom use. And, self-belief, makes you take action, because when you believe in something, you will take action.
Absolutely.
And when you believe in yourself and you're like, okay, yeah, what will happen? Like maybe it won't go well, but let me do it. I believe in myself. Take action. You take action, you get results, right? And that builds confidence. So start believing in yourself. Don't think that, I mean, children these days and girls have so much of influence from Instagram and reels and stuff like that. Know that real is not real, right? You are real, right? So be yourself. I mean, you got to love your own self first before the world will love you. So always believe in yourself, no matter if you're the only one to believe in yourself.
And of course, keeping everything else in mind, what you said about having a purpose in life and knowing what you want to do and why you want to do. So all those things together with believing in what you're doing, I think, yes. And of course, taking action. That really makes for a kind of a secret sauce for success in life. All right.
Absolutely.
So Upasna, we see now women, progressing like, I mean, the way they're doing it right now, I mean, we've not seen it before, making a name for themselves, a place for themselves in every walk of life. But despite that, there are still barriers, there are still challenges that women continue to face. Does anything specifically come to your mind when we say this? I mean, things that they continue to hold them back?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the limited beliefs that, we've kind of grown up with, and it's going to be I mean, I think women have covered a long way, and they're out there in every field, every sphere of life. But I think we got to believe in ourselves much more, as women, we tend to underestimate our power. I mean, just imagine, like, we can multitask. We're at work, we're thinking about house, we're sorting out household things,
Hmm.
and we're doing so much more. We're learning. We are focusing on our self enhancement, and and physically and emotionally. I mean, just think about it. We do so much, but
Yeah.
then why do we undervalue ourselves? Why do we not position ourselves like that?
Hmm.
And I feel like women have a little bit more work to do to support each other,
Hmm.
you know, and not undermine each other or judge each other.
Hmm.
We never criticize or judge men, but women tend to criticize and judge each other, is what
Yeah.
I've seen
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Hmm.
lot. And I don't see men also criticizing and judging each other, and I think that kind of builds a strong camaraderie.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I think we need to do a better job at just not judging, letting be each other be,
Hmm.
and maybe supporting each other a little bit more,
And
and,
yeah.
and knowing and believing in ourselves and our superpowers.
Yeah, actually, I think that has to do with, there are studies in psychology which say that women are like this. I mean, when we don't talk about our
Yeah.
work, or when we think that our work will speak for itself and we don't have to talk about it, or we,
Yes.
like we underestimate ourselves. This has roots in psychology because this is the way women have been raised generationally, to play
Yeah.
second fiddle to men, to not kind of, be very open about things, and just to, like I said, play second fiddle. So I think somewhere that holds us back. And even when we grow up, we may know that this is not the right way, but something holds us back. And I think those are those traits which have kind of, gotten embedded in our personalities. All right.
Yeah.
So in this scheme of things, and like you said, of course, women need to be together. So what role do you think platforms like these, where women come and speak about their work, how do you think these kind of platforms where women are speaking, they can help to change the narrative, or you influence societal norms to an extent?
Awesome. Awesome. Because honestly, I really feel like women are super women, and every woman is.
Hmm,
And
hmm,
I feel each woman has a story to tell. Every woman has gone through their own journeys, and there's so much to learn when we try to share. And as you said, like, psychologically also, I think we kind of hold ourselves back, not wanting to share. We're like, we kind of assume that it is supposed to be like that, so we probably don't talk a lot about our achievements, or we don't talk about the small little things that we do in our life.
hmm,
uh, and platforms like these, when I got to know about it on LinkedIn, I was really excited because these platforms give us a voice, right, to reach out to more women, to support women, to encourage, and kind of just be there for each other. And I think you give that voice to women, who probably might not be very popular, or don't have a big reach, but
hmm.
they still have a story to tell, you
Absolutely.
know and and I'm glad that I came across this platform. So absolutely great job you guys are doing.
Thank you. Thank you. So I believe, yes, because all the celebrities and all the big names, people talk about them. But like you
Yeah.
said, every woman has a story. And each time she shares her story, you don't know who is getting inspired, who is getting influenced.
Yes.
There could be so many women like her going through the same struggles, but they don't know how to deal with them, or even they don't know whether what they're going through is what they should be going through. Sometimes you
Yes.
end up blaming yourself for a situation, that has been created by somebody else. But when you listen to somebody else, you realize that no, the situation is not my fault. It is not of my making. Somebody else
Yes.
is, what I'm feeling about it is right. So that validation also comes. So yeah, I think that is something that we need to do more. More of us need to get together,
Yes.
speak about what bothers us. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, absolutely. And I think trusting our gut, trust your instincts, trusting, because I think as women, probably that's how we're just inevitably raised, right? To just accept things. But I think what I realized and I learned over the years is that you got to trust your instinct. If something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Listen to that.
Yes.
If you're repeatedly feeling that something is not right, maybe it really isn't. Question that. And I think that kind of goes back to the why, because you don't find your purpose overnight, but every day you have to ask yourselves, like, why? Even if you're going through a bad experience, you're like, why am I going through this? What did I do? What decision did I make? What choices did I make? Where did I not believe in myself? Where did I give up on myself? Right. And I think those questions, when you ask yourselves and kind of build that self-awareness, it really brings you close to what is it that you really want.
Absolutely. So, Pastor, we see a lot of talk around us about mental health, mental well-being nowadays. A lot of people are talking about how important it is for children, for men, for everyone. But do you think that somewhere women's mental health issues are not getting as much attention as they should? I mean, do you think
100%.
that? Yes? Okay.
100%. And I think it kind of goes back to the fact that we just accept it the way it is, and kind of going back to what I said earlier, right? We want to chase perfection. We don't want to ask for help. We want to just kind of go till the last mile to make sure that we are making, we kind of take it on ourselves to make sure that things are sorted and, everybody in the family is comfortable. I think that's inevitably, by nature, inherently, that's how we are probably. Or it could even be the way we are raised, right? And I think the only way to change that is go back to the ground level, which is go back to the childhood, raising women to also ask, raising men to respect when a woman says no, and being empathetic towards those situations also. And that could start with probably, so I think it's educating both girls and boys in a way to be more aware of their mental health issues. It's being more aware about, going back to it's okay to be not okay.
Correct.
So teaching children about emotions, right? And going back to women, for women to accept their emotions, to accept when they're stressful. And it's important for men to acknowledge and recognize, because sometimes, what we women assume, and we're like, okay, nobody will, they won't get it, or, what's the point sharing, and, it's going to happen again. And like those assumptions or that talk in our mind that we keep having, that, okay, maybe it's just a bad day, let's go on with it. But that accumulates. And you're absolutely right. We expect women to be in the workforce. We expect women to absolutely match up with men in the workforce. But then nobody adjusts things back at home. So how is that going to balance out? And that's not just going to be on the woman to figure out everything, and even the workplaces, they need to kind of reorganize themselves, and maybe allow for more men to take on household duties, right? They just can't be talk. They need to be allowed more, for example, work from homes or things like that, to attend to household duties. Like it should not be unheard of that a guy needs to be at home to babysit the child. Right. So, I've seen men getting bullied if they are going out of the way to take care of the child. Right. So they don't need to be made fun of, and that's what's going to encourage more and more men to step up and take on those things. And when that happens, that's when a woman can also feel comfortable, sharing personal situations and, taking care of the mental health issues. So absolutely agree with you that more work needs to be done in the mental health space, and educating women to be able to talk about their feelings.
Normalize it, that if you're going through something, it's okay. Every other woman has probably gone through it, and it's fine. So you're right, many times we don't share because we know that the response is going to be very negative. Either nobody's going to take us seriously, or they're going to brush it under the carpet. So historically, this is how things have been happening, but it is high time we change the narrative. Women start coming out more and talking about their issues, and men being educated, to normalize this, that yes, women, they are different from you, that Mars and Venus thing. Yes, they are different. You have different issues. You have to accept them, and you have to chip in, wherever you can and wherever.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's very,
and every woman, like, I really want every woman who's listening to this, like, just be intentional about your life. Don't let life happen to you. You design your life. You got to take ownership. And
Yes.
you gotta, so if you share your feelings with somebody and, they take it lightly, you gotta say that, no, this is not light. I'm not feeling good about it.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, you don't accept that. You don't accept things that are not working for you. So be intentional about the life you want.
Mm.
And, that's how things will happen. Most of the times we just accept the way things happen, and, one day happens after the other without us being totally intentional that what is it that I want in my life, physically, emotionally, mentally,
Yeah.
spiritually,
Mm.
and kind of, be intentional about it every single day.
So take ownership, take action.
Absolutely. So going back to self-belief plus action is equal to success.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So, a question which I ask every guest, that we see so many people, like you are doing it, I'm doing it, what I call the midlife rebooting, when you decide to change the track of your life and you start playing another track. So you were doing something for many years and then you decided that no, this is no longer what I want to do. I want to do something else. So we see a lot of this happening around us. What do you
Yes.
have to say about this?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. And, that really gets me to ponder. I
Hmm.
mean, the way I considered this for me is that this was probably the gradual, shift towards whatever learnings I've gathered over the year, whatever experience I've gathered over the year. I
Yeah.
think for every person, there is a point in life when we've kind of gathered stuff and you've learned and you've served yourself, that you want to serve others and you want to kind of, take that to the next level, you
Yeah.
know. So it's more of like a gradual transition towards now the next step. Now what,
Mm.
right? So you've done that, you've achieved, and I think all through our lives we are taught that, okay, yeah, you got to get the academic excellence and you got to get a job, and we feel that life is linear, that okay, you study, then you get a job, then you get married, you have kids, and that's how life is supposed to be.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I think in reality, life is anything but linear,
Oh,
right?
yes.
There are ups and downs, and there are different experiences, and there are failures, and there are things that really shape you.
Mm. Mm.
So, so I think it's important for every person, and sorry for being repetitive here, but it's very important for every person to get to that purpose.
Yeah.
And when you keep asking, so call it midlife, or it could be earlier, it could be later, it could probably never happen,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know
Mm.
but the moment you keep on asking, and you kind of get to that hey, you know what, all my learnings have got me to this point. Now I have it, but I'm going to take this to the next level. What is that next level? So having a purpose which is higher than yourself,
Yeah.
and having an intention to serve others, I think that's like a perfect formula to have a meaningful life, where you
Yes.
feel satisfied, where you feel happy, that that you're not just working for yourself, or you're not just looking at making your family comfortable, but you really want to take it further for the betterment of humanity. It could be to serve anybody, and those type of things. So when you start having that, and typically it happens towards midlife, right? Because all through your life you're studying and you're getting a job and you're kind of meeting your material ends. But still, don't give up on that questioning. Start in your 15, in your teens, start when you're in your early 20s. Not that you have to give up everything and completely just start serving others, but know that.
Mm.
So with that, I think a lot of people are kind of, and I think COVID has a role to play in this as well, because at least for me, what I observed was, till that happened,
Mm.
we all were living a boxed life wherein we thought that, okay, this is how it's supposed to be,
Mm.
that you go to office or you go to your work, and then you come back at night, and kids are sleeping, and like that's how it's supposed to be.
Mm.
But suddenly you saw that, oh, there's a different way to life. you
Yes.
know there are evenings where you kind of listen to the birds, and there are things that you do with family, and family became so important, right? Because life was so uncertain.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think post COVID, you really wanted to value that,
Yeah. Yeah.
that I want to, that life is uncertain, so I want to do something that matters to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know so
Yes.
so that's when you start shifting from the hustle and trying to do something which is more meaningful and which adds value to you. I think that's my take on that.
And you are right. We are in a world today. First of all, of course, that realization comes with age, as you say, age and experience for sure, because
I
it's
think so.
life is about growth and evolution, and you never stop growing. So
Yeah.
now I think we've reached such a stage where we are okay to accept this realization that we have grown,
Yeah.
we've evolved, we have changed. And therefore, now if we wish to switch tracks, it's okay.
Yeah.
And the world at large is also more accepting because they see it happening. So people are also okay, very flexible about it. And of course,
Yeah.
with the amount of exposure that we are getting in terms of the options that are available, in terms
Yeah.
of what all we can do, I think I mean, that adds to the beauty of this world that we are living
Yes.
in. There is so much that we can
Yes.
do. People are okay about it. You're okay about it. And you are aiding and abetting, so to say, the growth and evolution process, which is so, so crucial. Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And I think it's just aligning to the whole ecosystem, right? Like look at the connectivity today. So if I were to share my learnings and, look at this podcast, through this podcast, we're able to reach so many women. Like, why not take advantage of these opportunities?
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know so even if it's not really a reboot, or if it's not like a complete 100% overhaul, at least think about what is that one meaningful thing you really want to do,
Yeah.
and why not just go take action? What's the worst that will happen, right?
I agree.
Nobody will listen to you or whatever, but at least you tried.
Yes,
At least you tried.
absolutely. True, true. So, Upasna, looking ahead, what do you see for yourself personally and professionally, say, in terms of your goals and aspirations for the future?
So I think for me, definitely, next few years is to make sure that I am able to, you know, um, to help really. I want to help children live a beautiful and a memorable bachpan, you
Yeah.
know, and teach them life skills and habits that are going to make them resilient, respectful, mindful, and who care.
Mm.
And I want to create experiences for them so that when they grow up,
Mm.
they look back on their childhood, and they have a smile that this experience really stayed with them. Even that one small experience matters at that age. So for me, this is what it looks like to build Live Your Bachpan, to create those experiences. But for children, that's professionally. Personally, definitely spend more time with family, make each moment matter. I'm an avid traveler. Would love to travel around the world, and really create experiences for my family, for myself,
Mm.
and share as much as I can with the world.
Great, great. So, all the best to you. Make
Thank
more
you.
memories and make more children happy. Okay.
Thank
So,
you.
now we move on to the rapid fire round. 5 quick questions and 5 quick answers. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay. Take a deep breath.
Yes. All right. So we start with a
Is it like
simple.
a coffee with current hamper?
Well, you never know.
Okay.
Okay, so simple one. How do you unwind after a long day?
With a cup of tea.
Okay. All right. Second one. Anytime you were outsmarted by your child.
All the time, I think.
Any particular instance?
Oh, this won't be as rapid fire.
Uh,
But yeah, so the other day I was driving, and I changed lanes, and my son was like, "How come you didn't give the indicator?"
okay. All right. Kids are very smart, nowadays. So yeah. Even I remember
Yeah.
being told this by my sons. So yeah, I can totally relate. Okay, the next one. Favorite book or podcast? It could be anyone.
So I'm following Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett
Okay.
currently. So
Mm-hmm.
I read his book as well, and very, very inspirational. So that.
That one. All right. Okay, next. Most surprising thing you've learned about yourself since you became a parent.
Don't chase perfection. There is no such thing as perfection.
Hmm.
I've written a post on LinkedIn as well on this, but the realization that your parents were not perfect. You
Hmm.
will never be perfect, and don't even chase perfection. Perfection is a myth.
Great, great. And the last one. What's the most iconic female fashion trend in your opinion?
Whoa, this got me thinking. Is there an iconic? I think saris. by far, right? I mean, safe, trendy, very, very classy, and they really set you apart. So I would say that they're like the all-time, with some trendy blouses and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, I agree completely. I'm a huge sari person, so yeah, totally agree with you here. So fine, so that's the end of the rapid fire and the end of this session. Thank you so much, Upasna, for being on the show. A very,
I
very
absolutely
grateful
love.
conversation. Love listening to you, and I hope you enjoyed being on the show. Yeah.
Absolutely. I love the conversation, and I'm so glad that, you kind of picked up these unique topics in a way which was, so inspirational and really got me thinking. But I'm glad I got to share some of my opinions as well. So very, very interesting experience. Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.